So this is your Ride Companion video tutorial for the Ride Companion logging app for Android device. Now when you first open the app, this is the screen you're going to see. Okay, at the bottom here you have your options menu, and it says close the app, login, question, or logs. So the first thing you have to do when you open the app is you have to create a login. So I press the login button, and it shows me some text boxes. So in the username text box, I type in my username. That can be anything I want it to be. Now for the password, I can type in any password I want it to be. So whatever my password is, okay, it's just got to be 3 characters or longer. Okay. So after I have that all typed in and everything, I can press the check-in button. And if I successfully log in, it disappears. Okay, and by doing that, that registers you in the Ride Companion website. Okay, so you're all set to go. So there's a couple of things we have to go through here before we get started. First, I'm going to explain this, the front screen. At the top, the red buttons, you have a Lyft, a Uber, and a driving button. Those are your mode buttons. So when you're ready to drive, you press the driving button. So we're ready to drive. We press that driving button. You can see our little guy right here, the status icon change. You got a little key that tells you you're driving. Okay. When you select Lyft or Uber, say when you get you go to pick up your passenger, a little icon will appear on his chest saying Lyft or Uber, and that'll tell you what mode you're in. Okay, you're also going to see some data that's going to start populating on the side here. You got your driving time, your Lyft rides, your Lyft time, Uber and Uber times, your miles, your lifetime, your miles today, and your session miles. Your session miles are the miles you've driven since you've opened the app. Your miles today are the miles you've driven in driving mode today, and your miles lifetime are the miles you've driven for the life of the app while in driving mode. Okay, so we're going to go through the menu real quick. At the top left, you press on the menu button. That menu pops up on the bottom as well. You can touch somewhere on the screen to make that disappear. And then you press this gear icon, and that's your settings menu. And here you can save all the app data to your internal storage or SD card or to the internet. Now, when you save it to your SD card, it creates a file at the root of your SD or internal storage on your phone, and you can copy that file from one phone to another in case you change phones, so you don't lose all your app data. You can also save it to the internet and retrieve it from the internet later, so again, you don't lose all that data. The only thing when you save it to the web, you have to remember your username and password. So and you also need this unique ID. So when you decide to save it to the web, you have to be logged in, and you have to have this unique password or unique ID written down somewhere so you don't forget it. You also have some other options. You can show your traveling speed on the main screen. Now this is in miles per hour, and it works off of your GPS, so it's not very accurate. So I prefer not to show it. It's all a preferencing. It doesn't really matter. It's just there for another little feature. You can show the hidden data also. The hidden data is the information the app uses to calculate all your distances and times and traveling speeds. So you can show that data if you want to see what the app is doing in the background. Not really needed for your everyday user, but for somebody that wants a little more data to look at, they can see that. It says auto refresh map every 10 seconds or more. So when you're looking at one of the maps, and I'll show you that later, but when you're looking at one of the maps, you can choose to auto refresh those every 10 seconds. And that's just so you can see the most updated information on the map. You can also change the zoom level of the map. So when you open the map, it zooms in on your location. All right. So maybe you don't want it to zoom in too far, but not too much. 10 is right in the middle. That's the default. You can zoom in all the way to you. And the higher the number, the more zoomed in you are. You also have offline mode. This is a new feature for Ride Companion. So if you have a device that doesn't have a data connection, you can choose offline mode. And what that does is it prevents the app from trying to log data to the internet. So all the app stays on, or all the data stays on the phone. Nothing's logged to the internet. And it may enhance the performance of the app a little better if you don't have a data connection. If you don't have a data connection and you're in online mode, and it's going to try and use the internet, if it doesn't find a data connection, you know, that's wasted time that the app is spending trying to do things that it's not able to do. But also when you're in offline mode, you're going to get a little ad on the front of the screen. And that's just for offline mode users. If you're an online mode user, there will be no ads in the app. So we go back to the main screen. And there's some other icons at the top. There's a messaging button. Next to the messaging button, there's a trip log button, a user button, and a gas button. The trip log button is your trip logs. This is going to show all your trips on a map. So I can click on trips, and I can see that I did 2 trips today. I can hit this little location button right here, and it's going to zoom in on my current location, and it's going to show the trips I already took today. So if I click on one of those trips, it's going to give me some of that trip data. It's going to tell you where the pickup address was. There wasn't an address available for the drop-off address. It was started at a house and it ended in a park, so there was no address to the park. And then distance traveled, the traveling time, your trip time, and trip information. And you can see that it drew the route I took right on the map. That pink line is the color that I use to for your Lyft routes, your rides driven with Lyft. Now we can back out of that, and we can see all the drivers that are also on the road by clicking this map button right here. And this is going to show all the drivers that are using the app right now. There's not a whole lot. This is a fairly new app, but we're able to see them. Now, say I wanted to chat with this guy over here close to Texas. Okay, I click on him. His name is Roberto Lowe. You can see that he last checked in today. He didn't drive much. He might be parked somewhere. So I can click on his icon. It's going to bring up he probably didn't do a trip yet. It should have brought up a chat box. We'll try somebody else here that may have done some trips. Maybe this guy over here in California. He's out driving right now. He's done some trips. We can click on him. We got his chat box. Okay, in here, if we wanted to chat with him, we could type in a chat message, say hello or whatever, and it's going to pop up on his screen. And he's going to get a little pop-up at the bottom here saying he got a message. He can click on that and we can chat back and forth. But we don't want to bother him. We don't really even know him. So we don't want to bother him. Okay, we're also able to log our gas fill-ups. So say you go to the gas station, you're running low on gas, you want to fill up. You type in your cost for your fill-up. It was $25.47. We hit save. It saves that in the app. It says this month we spent $302 on gas. For the whole year, we spent $349.23 on gas, and that gets saved in the app and also to the internet if you're using online mode. Now you can see that we're in online mode right here at the bottom. You can see we're in driver mode because we have a green key. Okay, so now we're going to go driving and you're going to watch all this information right here populate as we're driving. Now as we're driving, the screen will stay on, the app will stay on, and it's going to start populating tons and tons of information. It's going to start saving stuff to the internet, and it's going to start logging everything. So we're driving around. You can see our session miles are starting to count now because we've been driving down the road. You can see our driving miles for today are counting up because we're in driving mode. and you can see a bunch of things happening. Now at the top, you might see a little green car flash every once in a while, and that's just telling you that the app is ready to plot a point. So when it's ready to plot a point, that little green car is going to flash at the top, and then it'll plot a point. So we're going to drive around, and we just got a ride request from Uber. So we're going to drive to their location. We're going to pull over, and we're going to pick them up. So we pull over at the location. We press the Uber button. You can see that the little Uber logo popped up on the guy's chest. We added an Uber ride right here. The Uber timer's counting. Our passenger got in the car, put on their seatbelt, and we're off. So now we're creating a route on the map. We're driving. We're logging all this information, all the time, all the mileage is being logged. And everything is being tracked. Since we're in online mode, it's all being tracked on the internet. If we were in offline mode, it would not be creating the route on the map for us. It wouldn't be logging anything into the internet, which is okay too. Maybe you just want to log that information on your phone and save it for yourself. Some people like to share that information, so they keep it on the internet. Or some people like to have it on the internet, so in case they lose their phone, they know they always have that data. That data will always be available. So we're going to drive around. We're going to create a little bit of a route here so we can see it on the map later, the route that we drove. And then we can see all this mileage we're creating. We're logging it. All this mileage and time is tax deductible at the end of the year. All the gas you put in your car is tax deductible. So you want to make sure you keep track of all that. It's very important. Because if you don't, then you're just overpaying on taxes to the government. Who wants to do that? Who wants to pay too many taxes? I don't want to pay any taxes, but the taxes I have to pay, I pay, but I don't want to pay anything extra, that's for sure. I like keeping my money. So we arrive at their destination. We pull over. The passenger gets out of the car. We end the ride in the Uber app, and then we end the ride in Ride Companion. You can see the status changed right here. It plotted points up here. Every time it says plotting a point up here, that means it's adding a spot to the route on the map. Now, everyone, if you have a poor data connection, you might get connection errors every once in a while. It's not a big deal. It's not going to affect how the app is logging. It'll just log that information later when you achieve a better data connection. So everything worked pretty good. You can see our pickup location, where we started, where we ended, the distance we drove, and the amount of time the trip was. You can see some time added to our Uber drive time. Our Uber ride counter went up. Our driving time is still counting because we're still in driver mode. And our lifetime drive time. You can also see our miles are counted up. All that stuff is saved. So now, say we're at the end of our driving day. We want to end our driving session. We hit the driving button. It tells us how many miles we drove today. It's going to try and save our log to the internet. It couldn't connect. I must have a really bad data connection right now. That happens sometimes in some of these fringe locations in our city right here. But it's all saved to your phone either way. So the log is saved to your phone. Next time you go into driver mode, it's going to try and send that off to the internet. So say we want to look at our log. All right. We can either hit the menu button on our phone, we can hit the back button, or we can hit the menu button at the top left here, and we can view our logs. So if I hit that logs button, what it's going to do is it's going to log me into the ride companion website. And it does look like I have a bad data connection. So we'll try it again. Anyway, with the bad data connection, that we're not going to be able to use the internet, obviously. So what I'll do is we can see our trip log on our phone. So if you got a file manager on your phone, I use Solid Explorer. So I go to Solid Explorer, I open that up, I go to the root of my internal memory, internal storage, and you can see this trip log 2014-12. So 2014 is the year and 12 is the month, December 2014. So it logs everything by month. So if I click on that, I use the HTML viewer to open it. I can see this is my log for everything I drove. So I can see my gas for the year, this month, what my ride counts are, my mileage, which is important for tax time, my driving times, which are important for tax time, and all the trips I took. These are my trips for today, Wednesday, December 31st. And then I got trips for yesterday. These are test trips for this app. I do all my logging on a different device. But you can see that it shows the service, the trip time, how long the trip was, the distance of the trip, the end address, the start address, the time the trip started, and what the trip count was for the day. So trip 3 for this day. It's all important information because when you're doing these rideshare services, sometimes the city requires you to log your information in a certain format. And this is the pretty typical format. This is the information they want. They want to know the time that the trip started. They want to know how long the trip was, the distance you drove, and your start address and your end address. It's very important, especially to cities when they have to investigate a problem. You know, maybe somebody complained to the city about you, and you want to be able to prove yourself that you're a good guy. So this is the log that allows you to keep track of your information as well. So we can go back to the app, and we can see that we're no longer in driving mode. The key went away. We're in regular mode. And we can toggle back and forth our menus by using our back button on our device. Our menu button will show that, or the menu button at the left, at the top left. So that's pretty much how Ride Companion works and the features you have. You can also see your trip log now that we did another trip. If we have a good data connection, which we do now, we'll be able to see our trips we took. There we go. So every time you go into driving mode and you end driving mode, it's going to save your local log to the internet. You can see that it says trip log saved online. Okay, that's what I tried doing before when it was saying a data connection error, is because I had a bad data connection. But it saved it online now. And now we can go online and view it actually. So I click on logs. It logs me into the Ride Companion website. This is what you're presented with. At the top it shows your username. I can click on the trip log, and it's going to show me that same thing that's saved on your phone, except this is saved on the internet. And you can see that this is all the new app data. This is all the latest stuff here. Now this is your driver dashboard on the Ride Companion website. You can This will have more information and become more useful in the future, but for right now, it's just for viewing your logs. Now, say I didn't log in through the app. I just went to the Ride Companion website and tried logging in myself. If you go to Ride Companion driverlog.php, you'll be presented with this screen. Okay? And here you can enter in your username and password from the app, and you press the driver login button and you get this. And that's your driver dashboard. The same thing as if you're to press the logs button from the app. And then you can see all this valuable information right here. If you want to print it from your PC, you hit this print button right here. It's going to pop up a regular web page here. And you can just print that from your PC using the print option out of the web browser that you're using. I'm doing all this from a smartphone, so there's no print option in Google Chrome, but there will be on your PC web browser. That'll be available from any web browser then. All those logs, as long as you know your username and password, that's all you need to know. So that concludes this video tutorial for Ride Companion. I hope this app is very useful to you. I hope it wasn't too confusing. If there's any questions, you have it all on the app. It's very easy to get a hold of me. All you do is you hit this question button, and it's going to give you an email address, and it's going to pop up in your email and let you send me an email. So when you're done using the app, you hit the close button. It's going to shut it down, and it's going to tell you when you're ready to close Ride Companion. You have a few seconds to close it. If you miss that window, that close button goes away. You have to press it again. So I hit that close Ride Companion, and the app is closed. And that's it for the Ride Companion tutorial. Thank you. I hope you enjoy it.